Okay, I am a day trader. As God as my witness, I am a day trader. Before Trump became a president, uh, early on in his career as a developer, he ran into a situation where the economy was in depression. And so the apparently what happened was he held a huge loan on his buildings, but the business dried up. And so his business was negative. And so he had to sell his properties. And so he brought in some investors from Hong Kong to purchase some property in New York. Okay. And then he was interviewed after the fact. Okay. So he interviewed after the fact. And he said that what he did was he flew in some investors, and the way that he approached it, because he is a master negotiator, what he did was he didn't mention that the economy was in shambles, but what he did was he pointed out all the positives that were occurring, all the positives that were happening, such as look at this beautiful property, look at the potentials, look what you could build here, look what you could build here. If you buy this property, there's like millions of people around here. This is the center of this area. So what he did is during his negotiations, he would just talk about the positive and he would just be very quiet. And what that caused is, as a master negotiator, is give them imagination of the possibilities of the property that they're going to buy. Okay. And that allows him to unload that property and then relieve the debt burden that he has. Okay. And so, in that respects, he is a master developer. I mean, he's a master developer and a master negotiator, enough to write books. Okay. So that's what he did. Okay. Now, then he had an interview years later with somebody, okay? And then he talked about it, and he said that at that moment he was walking past one of his buildings, and there was a homeless man, okay? There was a homeless man sitting there asking for money, okay? Then as he walked by, whether he gave money or not, but he stood in front of this whole homeless man, and he said to himself, thinking in his mind, he said, that homeless man is richer than I am. Because at that time, his debt was $1 billion, somewhere around $1 billion, and he couldn't pay. Okay, because his property had depreciated so much, so his net worth was negative $1 billion. Okay, his net worth was $1 billion, and then he had to renegotiate with the banks to readjust his loan so he could pay the debt down. Okay, but he was standing in front of this homeless guy. Okay, he was standing in front of this homeless guy, and he said to himself, "This man who is homeless is richer than I am, because he has no debt. Okay, he has a few bucks in his hands. He has more money than me because he was in about $1 billion in debt." Okay, so then here comes my story. Okay, I looking at myself, I am essentially the homeless man. Okay, I have a few pennies up there. Okay, I have a few pennies right there. Okay, but I am flat broke. I am again a day trader, and so so when people hear the word "I am a businessman," apparently when you're a businessman, you're always broke. Apparently that's the given word. So when somebody goes on a date and say, "Hey, I'm a businessman," the female date will automatically conclude, "Oh, you're poor. You have no money." That's the automatic conclusion that they have, because many business people lose. That's what businessmen do, because they're not profitable. Okay, and so what I can state unequivocally, okay, as God as my witness, I am dirt poor. I have no money. I have debt. I have restitution that I need to pay. Okay, I won't go into that detail, but it's unfair, but I won't go into it. Okay, but let's say that I am right now, right now, I have a couple gallons in my gas tank, okay, and my car is over 11 years old, okay, and this computer is 11 years old and is probably worth nothing because the screen doesn't work. And I'll tell you what, my shoes are over a year old and they have little holes in it. So when I hold it up to light, it has a little sunlight coming out of one of them because there's holes in it. I can unequivocally say, okay, with absolute truth, be known to the world, okay, I am dirt poor. I have absolutely no money whatsoever. I've been here before, but I now know that I am a very, very, very poor man. I am. I am both. I am both that homeless man who has a few pennies and I have restitution that I need to pay. So I am dirt poor. Hopefully, someday I can look back and say, yeah, this is the day that I became conscious of how poor I am. I am dirt poor.